Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers, today we delve into the captivating life of Margaret Campbell, Duchess of Argyll, a woman whose beauty, charisma, and scandalous life captured the attention of society and the media alike. Her story is one of glamour, intrigue, and resilience, set against the backdrop of the mid-20th century British aristocracy. Join me as we explore the remarkable journey of Margaret Campbell, a duchess whose life was as dramatic as any novel or film. Margaret Wigham was born on December 1, 1912, in Newton Mearns, Renfrewshire, Scotland. She was the only child of Helen Mann Hannay and George Hay Wigham, a wealthy Scottish businessman. From an early age, Margaret was immersed in privilege and luxury. The family moved to New York City when she was a baby, and she spent much of her early childhood there. Returning to Britain at the age of 14, Margaret's early years were marked by her beauty and charm, qualities that would become her trademark. She was educated at the exclusive institutions of Miss Warren's School in London and the Convent of the Sacred Heart in Roehampton. Her debutante season in London was a significant event, marking her entry into high society. In 1930, at the age of 17, she was presented at court and soon became one of the most celebrated debutantes of her time. Her beauty attracted numerous suitors, and she quickly became a prominent figure in the social scene. One of her early romances was with Prince Ali Khan, the son of Aga Khan III. Although their relationship did not lead to marriage, it added to her allure and mystique. In 1933, Margaret married her first husband, Charles Sweeney, an American businessman and amateur golfer. The wedding was a grand affair, attended by royalty and society elites, and widely covered by the press. The couple had 3 children, but their marriage was tumultuous and ended in divorce in 1947. This period of her life was marked by lavish parties, high-profile socializing, and the beginning of her association with scandal and controversy. In 1951, Margaret married Ian Douglas Campbell, the 11th Duke of Argyll. This marriage elevated her to the rank of Duchess, and she became a prominent figure in British aristocracy. The Duke and Duchess resided at Inverary Castle, the ancestral seat of the Campbell clan. However, this marriage too was fraught with difficulties. The Duke was heavily in debt and had a tumultuous personal life. Their relationship deteriorated rapidly, culminating in one of the most sensational divorce cases of the 20th century, the Argyll divorce case, which began in 1959 and concluded in 1963. Was a media sensation. The Duke accused Margaret of infidelity, and the trial was marked by scandalous revelations and lurid details. The evidence included explicit photographs and the infamous headless man picture, which became a focal point of the trial. The identity of the man in the photograph was never conclusively proven, but the scandal destroyed Margaret's reputation. The judge, Lord Wheatley, described her as a highly sexed woman who had ceased to be satisfied with normal relations, and she was branded as promiscuous and immoral by the press and public. Despite the public humiliation, Margaret Campbell displayed remarkable resilience. She continued to live her life with dignity and refused to be cowed by the scandal. She maintained her social connections and continued to be a prominent figure in society, albeit one often associated with infamy. Margaret's later years were marked by financial difficulties. The costs of her lavish lifestyle and the legal fees from her divorce left her in debt. She sold many of her possessions and downsized her living arrangements. However, she remained a spirited and charismatic presence, known for her wit and charm. In her later years, Margaret published her memoirs, Forget Not, in 1975. The book provided her perspective on her life and the scandal that had come to define her in the public eye. It was an attempt to reclaim her narrative and present herself as a woman of substance and resilience. Margaret Campbell, Duchess of Argyll, passed away on July 25, 1993, at the age of 80. Her life, marked by beauty, scandal, and resilience, remains a compelling story of a woman who navigated the treacherous waters of high society with grace and fortitude. Despite the controversies that surrounded her, she is remembered as a fascinating and complex figure who lived life on her own terms. Her story has continued to captivate the public imagination. And she remains a subject of interest in popular culture. The 2021 BBC miniseries, A Very British Scandal, starring Claire Foy as Margaret, brought renewed attention to her life and the infamous divorce case, highlighting the societal pressures and personal struggles she faced. Margaret Campbell's legacy is one of a woman who, despite the challenges and scandals, remained unapologetically herself. She navigated a world that was often unforgiving, maintaining her dignity and grace even in the face of public condemnation. Her life story is a testament to the complexities of human nature and the resilience of the human spirit. Margaret's ability to maintain her poise and dignity, even after the public humiliation of the divorce, speaks volumes about her character. Her resilience became a defining trait as she faced both personal and financial challenges in her later years. The scandal, which was one of the first to be covered so extensively by the media, set a precedent for the treatment of women in high-profile divorce cases, reflecting the gender biases and societal double standards of the time. After the sensational divorce case, Margaret's life took a different turn. Financially strained, she moved out of Inverary Castle and lived in a series of smaller homes, each less grand than the last. Despite the reduced circumstances, she continued to engage with society. Her sense of style and elegance remained intact, and she was often seen at social events, maintaining her presence among the elite. Margaret's later life was not devoid of companionship. She maintained several close friendships and had a few romantic relationships, though none led to another marriage. Her charm and ability to navigate social circles ensured she remained a beloved figure in certain segments of society. She was known for her sharp wit and often regaled her friends with stories from her vibrant past. One of her closest friends during this period was Baroness Fiona Tyson, who often provided Margaret with both emotional and financial support. Their friendship was emblematic of the Duchess's ability to inspire loyalty and affection. Despite the controversies that surrounded her, the Duchess's memoir, Forget Not, published in 1975, was an attempt to set the record straight from her perspective. In her memoir, she portrayed herself as a wronged woman, beset by a vindictive ex-husband and a scandal-hungry media. While the book did not become a bestseller, it offered a glimpse into her perspective and provided her with a platform to articulate her side of the story. The memoir, written with the assistance of her friend and biographer, Charles Castle, allowed her to reclaim some dignity and control over her narrative. Despite her best efforts to rebuild her life, the financial strain continued. In the 1970s and 1980s, Margaret was forced to auction off many of her prized possessions, including jewelry, artworks, and other valuables she had amassed over the years. These sales were not only a means to stay afloat financially but also a poignant reminder of the high cost of her once glamorous lifestyle. Margaret's later years saw her becoming somewhat of a reclusive figure. She lived in a modest flat in Eaton Square, London, far removed from the opulence she once enjoyed. Despite this, she retained her dignity and continued to be an elegant presence, often seen in her characteristic pearls and tailored suits. Her death on July 25, 1993, marked the end of an era. The media, which had once reveled in her scandalous divorce, now reflected on her life with a more sympathetic lens. Obituaries highlighted not just the controversies but also her charm, wit, and resilience. The narrative had shifted, recognizing her as a woman who had faced extraordinary public scrutiny and personal hardship with grace. Margaret Campbell's legacy is multifaceted. On one hand, she is remembered for the scandal that dominated headlines and fascinated the public. On the other, she is celebrated for her style, elegance, and indomitable spirit. Her story serves as a lens through which we can examine the societal attitudes of the mid-20th century, particularly towards women in the public eye. The double standards, the media frenzy, and the harsh judgments she faced are reflective of the broader issues of gender and class during that period. In the years following her death, Margaret Campbell, Duchess of Argyll, has continued to be a subject of interest in popular culture. The 2021 BBC miniseries, A Very British Scandal, which dramatized her life and the infamous divorce case, brought her story to a new generation. The series, starring Claire Foy, portrayed Margaret with a nuanced sympathy, highlighting both her strengths and vulnerabilities. It sparked renewed discussions about the way women are treated in the media and the court of public opinion. The Duchess's life is a compelling study in contrasts: public glamour versus private pain, social ascent versus personal downfall, and public scandal versus private dignity. Her ability to navigate these contradictions with a measure of grace speaks to her resilience and complexity as an individual. Margaret Campbell's story also serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of fame and the fickle nature of public adoration. Her life was a roller coaster of highs and lows, and through it all, she remained a figure of fascination. She is a reminder that behind every headline and scandal, there is a real person with a story far more intricate and profound than what is often portrayed in the media. In conclusion, Margaret Campbell, Duchess of Argyll, was a woman of remarkable resilience and enduring charm. Her life, marked by beauty, scandal, and personal fortitude, continues to captivate and inspire. As we reflect on her journey, we are reminded of the complexities of human nature and the strength required to navigate life's challenges with grace and dignity. Thank you for joining me in exploring the extraordinary life of Margaret Campbell, a duchess whose story is as compelling today as it was during her lifetime.